Hello, I'm Richard Vobes, the Bald Explorer, and today I'm out exploring another of the West Sussex Wildlife Trust places. This is Ebernoe Common, and it is a place of varied ancient wood pasture, complete with streams, ponds and woodland. And we're north of Petworth, a little bit in West Sussex, and to get here is quite strange. You drive through the little tiny hamlet of Ebernoe, and as you come into Ebernoe, it's almost like you're driving through the cricket ground. The road drives through the cricket field. It's most peculiar. And then trying to find the parking space, not the easiest, but the advice is to park up by Ebernoe Church, which it looks like it's a Victorian church. It was certainly a red brick church. Anyway, it may have been rebuilt. I don't know too much about that. And then that takes you into right at the edge of this West Sussex Wildlife Trust's piece of protected land. So that's what I'm going to explore today. So let's go and see what's here, shall we? Well, this is really lovely. The first bit that you come into that I've seen is this rather wonderful mixed woodland, and in here you've got beech trees, you've got oak trees, there's a yew tree here, some holly here, I've seen hazel, and actually it looks like a bit of maple over there. I think that's maple, or is that this? Just off camera, wild service tree. We spent a whole time looking for a wild service tree at the other West Sussex Wildlife Trust piece, the Men's, and here within seconds I've already found one, so that's fantastic. Tiny little sapling just growing up, so there must be a mother somewhere around. Just down here, can't get to it properly, but we get our first view. I think it's called Furnace Pond, and if you go back to the Tudor period, that sort of time, this whole area was an industry for the iron making industry, and here a hammer pond for the furnaces that were making iron. I'm hoping to get a bit more of a view of that shortly on our little stroll. Well, it looks like the pond here itself is quite low. We've had a lot of hot weather recently and not a great deal of rain. And here, this little bridge goes over an overflow, which must take the stream somewhere. I don't know the layout of the area where the forge hammer would have been or that sort of thing. Certainly, there's plenty of information on the website and also in the booklet that you can get from the Wildlife Trust's shops and online and stuff. But I can hear, I don't know if you can hear that, there is a group of people attending to some of the trees, I think, because I can hear a chainsaw going. But it's absolutely magnificent, the quietness, the way that the whole area has just been allowed to almost go wild, slightly managed with these pathways so that members of the public can get in. And actually, as you walk around, I found this earlier, just walking around you hear things moving, rodents and insects and birds and all sorts of stuff. It's all around you, and if you're very quiet, there's a chance you might see some of this fantastic wildlife that this environment is here to preserve. What I love about this is a real example of a low-wheeled woodland. It's just terrific. And if you go back in history, the tradition would have been for the commoners to let out their pigs and their cattle to feed on the acorns or the mast, the beech nuts that have fallen, or indeed on the grass in the clearings. And here is one such clearing, nice open meadow, which I can see some hay bales in the distance, but lots of beautiful grasses and what have you. And you can imagine the commoners' cattle here happily feeding away. Very beautiful. I'm filming midweek, and I have to say I've not seen anybody. There were lots of cars in the car park, and I think members of the trust, as I maybe alluded to before, are working around on the furnace pond, which have been transformed to their former glory. I think they were in a bit of a state until the trust managed to look after them. The Sussex Wildlife Trust was set up in 1961, but this bit of area here, Ebernoe Common, 75 hectares. I always struggle with hectares. 75 hectares is fairly meaningless to me, I'm afraid to say, but I can tell you it's a large area. It was purchased in 1980 and has been obviously managed and looked after since then. And I have to say they've done a fantastic job. And it is so important, I think now more than any other time, because we're building everywhere. Infrastructure and roads are going up all over the place, population is rising, and a place for wildlife, which, let's face it, has equal right, if not more rights, to this wonderful world than we do. It's essential to ensure there are places for them. This is just, I mean, I'm so lucky. I've come out on a day where it's mostly sunshine. I have this to myself. It's almost as if it's a complete and utter secret garden or a secret woodland that I'm going through. I love it. Just heard the sound of a woodpecker. Tops of one of these trees. How they manage to do what they do, you know, the speed that they bash away at the bark and don't get headaches is amazing. I know that their beaks and heads are adapted to do that, clearly, but even so, it is a sort of miracle of nature.
I hope you're enjoying this video. Why not help me make more and become a patron? A small donation really makes all the difference and keeps me out and about producing these magnificent presentations. So go to baldexplorer.com and become a patron today.
Here we are, look at this lovely, beautiful hay bale. I say beautiful, it's beautifully rounded, and the mechanisation for you these days. I'm often talking about, I lament the old traditions and things, but this is actually very, very nice. I've swept round through the woods to the other end of that field that I was looking out onto just a few moments ago. Don't put your hand on the on the top of that. I've just got a whole load of splinters in there, very fine bits of hay, but the smell of that hay is absolutely divine. And in this field, I can tell you, it's thick again with knapweed. There's even thistles and different, I think that's timothy down there, a different type of grass. And I'm hoping I can take a shortcut across this field into the other side of the woods and see what's down there. Oh, you can imagine, as I said before, the commoners' cattle. Where is Daisy? Daisy, come on, time for milking. Well, coming to the end now of my walk, and clearly there's so much more to see. I've just gone through a gate with a sign called sign to an area called Butcherlands. And the thing about this, it says that they have cattle grazing. Now, I've seen on the ground hoof prints of cattle, which, walking through this, is quite a large area still of wild woodland, with many trees that have decomposed quite severely, to show that this has been like this for a very long time. Trees that are almost skeletal, you might say. And I have it in mind that perhaps the cattle are let loose. Perhaps there are some grass areas. I haven't managed to go any further because I've been looking at these trees that are all over the place that have degraded. It's just quite fascinating. You may not know, or some of you may know, I'm not keen on cows. There is a strange fear that I have, and I know a number of people who do have. It's not a phobia or anything like that. So I'm a bit wary about carrying on if they're roaming through the woodland. It's all right in a field because you can see where they are, but I can't imagine that. But there must be patches that they go through, because I've seen their hoof prints, unless they've just been marched through this area. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you get a chance to go and visit some of the Sussex Wildlife Trust's properties, some of these wild areas, then do so, and do let me know if you've been to some, or if you recommend some. I must get in touch with them actually and see if they'll do some interviews and perhaps take me round a few places. Anyway, don't forget to follow, like and subscribe, become a patron and support what I do. That really does help, and I'll go and visit some more of these and look at the wonderful nature that abounds in our country. Until next time, thanks for watching. Bye-bye.